quickly, let's take a look at what the headlines are saying. We'll start off with the Supreme newspaper. And there it says, we shall create 10K millionaires with massive investment in entrepreneurs. And of course, we have the Deputy Minister Designate for Finance, Mr. John Potua Kuma. And this was from, conversations that he had also about the vetting as well and what he intends to do moving forward. And it says 145 million grant support for SMEs launched under Ghana Economic Transformation Project. And Itrima Nwabieja MCE fingered for fueling galamsey. You'll find that on page 4 of the Supreme newspaper. And also, Doma Hene celebrates 22nd anniversary of his installments. Let's move on to the Daily Graphic. And it says 3 illegal miners jailed 45 years, fined 720,000 Ghana cedis. And I'm sure you probably raise eyebrows, even though you might be happy with this, because you ask that who are the people behind these illegal miners, the real fishes that need to be arrested? What has been done about them? Why arrest these persons who may be just working for this big fish? We need to identify who that person is. But moving on, integrating the mentally ill into society, 222 cured patients stranded, and NBSSI changes to Ghana Enterprises Agency. 145 million Ghana cedis goes to SMEs. Find that on page 16. Finance Minister asks IFC to increase private sector funding. And okay, let's go to the Ghanaian Times. Restoring the economy, and we have a photo of the finance minister on the Honorable Ken Oforiatta, and it says IFC to inject $2 billion to shore up private sector. Find that on page 16. Also, President launches Ghana Enterprises Agency to replace NBSSI. Hairdresser stabs boyfriend to death, and crisis in Burkina Faso. ECOWAS pledges to defeat terrorism. And at the back, we have Ghana celebrates World Oceans Day, and we'll check indiscipline among motorcycle riders in earnest, according to the Greater Accra minister. And he also mentioned that he's hoping for some bylaws that would ensure that people clean their homes. And so that bylaw will make sure that there's projects, clean your environment or your surroundings. And if that happens, then maybe we can hold people accountable for not keeping the environment clean. I agree to it. I don't know what you think about it, but maybe we'll talk about that later. But Business and Financial Times, government sets aside 145 million Ghana cedis to grow 350 SMEs as Ghana Enterprise Agency begins operations. Inflation drops to 14-month low, back to pre-COVID-19 levels. And Momo is most preferred digital payments method. You'll see that on page 2. AML CFT reform gains will be consolidated. And at the back, okay, well, let's just move on to the Daily Guide now. And it says, Domahine marks 22 years on the throne. Female coup plotter, in quote, wanted Nana eliminated. And there's a photo of Mama G, that's her AKA, on there. Akufo-Addo promises Burkina ECOWAS support, and a police move to remove judge fails again. 2 looters grabbed at Saglemi housing. You'll find that on page 6. And finally, the Business Finder says 145 million Ghana cedis grant to support SMEs to recover from negative impact of COVID-19, according to President. Mining royalties give communities 30%, and that's according to the President of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Mr. Eric Asubonting. And finally, inflation down to 7.5%. Joining me in the studios this morning, we have the MP for Busa South. He's also the Deputy Ranking Member on the Committee for Education in Parliament, Dr. Clement Opar. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning,
Solu. How's everything? Soluna.
Kubasa.
Oh, I got it right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, yeah, go me. Kubasa,
yes.
Kubasa. Kubasa, yes.
Thank you, Bella, for acknowledging me. It's great to be here.
It's good to see you this morning as well. I like what you're wearing.
Thank you.
Yeah, also joining us this morning is Mr. Kamal Dean, and he's a member of the MPP Communications team and also a member of the BOST board as well. Oh, yeah, he didn't want me to say that, but it doesn't matter. I've already said it anyway. How are you?
I'm terrific.
Yeah?
Bella?
Yeah, everything okay this week?
Everything okay.
How are you managing the allegations? And we'll talk about these allegations that have come up as at yesterday by that Norwegian investigative newspaper, VG, where they are alleging, first of all, that we used middlemen in procuring the Sputnik V vaccines and, you know, all the other issues that have come up concerning that as well. I'll start off with you, Kamal, because we expected that, you know, we'll receive a statement from government and from the Ministry of Health. We were told yesterday through a statement that another one would be released before the end of the day. We didn't get it till later this morning, very early this morning as well. But your first you know, comments on this particular issue.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning once again to your viewers, and of course, good morning to your crew, and good morning to Honorable Apak, Bulsa South MP. Bella, we all agree that this pandemic has come to ravage the entire world. That is something we cannot run away from. We all also agree on the back of this pandemic, a law was promulgated or enacted by Parliament to give the Minister of Health some, if you like, ease to carry out certain interventions that they think they would have to carry out to ensure our safety. Is that correct? Now, having agreed to this, Bella, if you recall, before I even come to the substantive matter, the nose mask we are wearing today, when the pandemic struck and the entire world was taken aback, what were we supposed to do? WHO came with certain protocols. Countries were supposed to ensure that they adopt such protocols by extension their citizens, as it were. This nose mask, or these nose masks, were like, if you like, gold to even get a nose mask to wear.
Yeah.
To the extent that we had to get citizens of this country who had to come out with their, talents to, if you like, make do with certain talents that they have to create some of these nose masks for us. What you're wearing today and what I'm wearing today, if I should tell you the cost when the pandemic struck, and today the cost, obviously, sharp difference.
Yeah.
Today you can even have one for 50 pesos. Initially, you wouldn't even get in the market, and the price was quite exorbitant, as it were. I am actually prefixing my submission with this narrative because I wanted to let Ghanaians know how imperative and how important it is for such interventions to be taken for our own safety. Today, fast forward to this tabloid that came out from a Norwegian tabloid that gave the report. Yes, hint of it was given or has been given. The Minister of Health came out to say, look, we have a response to this matter. I'm aware that the committee in Parliament has also actually spoken because the chairperson of the Health Committee in Parliament, I listened to him, he also spoke, as it were. I looked at the 11-pointer response that the Minister of Health has given this morning. And I asked myself, what were the efforts made by the Minister of Health to ensure that such, vaccines that have been, if you like,
procured is what they use.
Established. It's procured. Yes, the AstraZeneca. We're talking of the Sputnik V, and then we're talking about the Johnson & Johnson, as it were. These were what the FDA actually, agreed to.
Yeah.
Sputnik V, which is the subject of contention now, in terms of procurement, and then the cost element is what the issue is.
Yeah.
The allegation is that instead of $10, the Ghanaian government has actually gone to buy it for $19.
Yeah.
It's interesting. $10 ex factory price. That's what we know. And that's what it is. Ghanaians can check. And when I say ex factory price, go to Russia, find out the I don't know, how do I call them? The manufacturers of such vaccine. How much do they sell it at factory price? It's $10.
$10, yes.
Now, besides that, government-to-government relationship, Ghana government and Russian government, has there been, were there some effort made by our government to ensure that we get government-to-government relationship to the extent that we're able to get pitches directly? Efforts were made. We are told those efforts actually hit because their arrangement within in Russia was that they needed to sell it to middlemen, then the middlemen will in turn sell it out to whichever country or whoever wants to procure it. That is the arrangement in the direct investment, whatever, in Russia had put that in place already. When some of these things come in, trust me, people want to cash in. Okay? Lo and behold, the Minister of Health tried as much as possible to contact people who could get it, even to the extent that they came domestically to look at Ghanaians who had the capacity to procure and they buy from them. None, they couldn't get it. Government to government tried, they couldn't get it. Finally, they got this sheikh from Dubai. From
Dubai, yes.
Whose company had it. Al Maktoum or something like that. Now, they came on board, had discussions with the Minister of Health in Ghana, discussed it to the level where we need to actually procure because it's essential. You recall some few months ago, there was this report worldwide that shortage of vaccines had hit the world, okay? Even to the extent that India were saying that they will hold back whatever they have through the AstraZeneca and all that. Yeah. So the Ghanaian government actually had to go extra mile to ensure that at least our people are safe. We get some of these vaccines.
Okay.
To the extent that the middleman was there, the middleman says, look, land transport from the factory to wherever, okay, air fares to move it, taking care of it. You know, the vaccines too, in fact, it's not really easy to store and transport. It also takes some special care as it does. So they gave all this and said they will incur extra costs. Based on this, they are also doing a business. But they are selling it for $25 per job.
Which is the price they gave
That was the price they gave to the Ghana government.
Okay.
$25. Then the Ghanaian government said, no, let's negotiate. We negotiated until we got this $19 purchase. That has been accepted. But as we speak today, not a dime, not one cedi has been parted from Ghana to this company yet.
Yeah.
Because there's supposed to be some supply arrangement met, or conditions met, before the payment is done. So some $5,700,000 US was earmarked to buy some 300,000, if you like, doses of those vaccines.
Okay.
That is the actual story. But yet somebody comes out. Let's walk with it. Let's run with it. Let's do propaganda. Let's say Ghanaian government has gone to buy $19 instead of $10. Then we all stay there. But when the actual explanation comes, for your own safety, for my safety, for the safety of the MPs, not too long ago, just yesterday, we heard that MPs are supposed to be tested again. I don't know how true that is. It means we are still in trouble. Why do we want to politicize some of these things? Okay. Why do you want to throw it in? So I'm happy that this, even though, yes, it came just this morning, but of course, it's still an explanation. It has come out. People should take time and look at it, and then also look at how it is imperative for us as a country to ensure that our people are safe.
Okay, the WHO also came out to respond to some of these concerns after the Norwegian, discovered all these issues. And they said that there was two things that we needed to check to make sure that we were dealing with the right person and if the person was legal. And so due diligence needed to be done. But they also asked us to ensure that we avoid the middlemen and try to deal directly with them. In fact, we have the WHO video. Let's just quickly take a look at what the deputy director had to say about this particular issue, and then we'll come back.
Of WHO is that the countries use vaccines that have received emergency use listing by WHO, which are now 8 vaccines. Second, we have received concerns from countries, not only you're citing the Gamaleya vaccine right now, the Sputnik, but we have received similar concerns regarding other vaccines with intermediates selling it at a much higher price than what is being actually sold by the manufacturers. Two things to be aware of. First of all, is that the vast majority of manufacturers are selling only to public entities, right? So they are selling or to the international procurers, which is in this case of the COVID vaccines, is COVAX, and through the procurement agencies, UNICEF and PAHO. The other thing to be taken into account. So what we have advised back to countries is to contact the manufacturer to make sure that the intermediate is legal, right? Because there is also the other side of this, because there's a lot of substandard and falsified COVID products being commercialized out there. So you need to know the provenance, where is the procedence, where is this product coming from, who is selling, and whether it's registered and has it been listed by WHO. So there are several things that need to be taken into account into this. During the last World Health Assembly, now that ended last week, we did have a long discussion on substandard and falsified medicines and vaccines circulated in the market. And the internet sales are the way that these procurers reach out to either individuals or governments. So our advice is check with the manufacturer, check the legality of the transaction, and then you make an informed decision. And please make sure that you're buying vaccines that are certified by WHO.
And that's the Assistant Director General of the WHO who was issuing a caution out there. Says, check, do due diligence. Did we do that and check if indeed this sheikh, was legally operating, especially on the back of the fact that there were some allegations that had been made against him with a merry deal and, the people that surrounded him with that deal as well?
Let me reiterate this again. First of all, not a dime has actually moved from Ghana to pay the sheikh for any supplies yet.
Not a dime?
Not a dime. Not one cedi.
There are indications that there's a voice that we could play later.
I am saying
confirming that payments were made.
Has been no. I can tell you that we have not taken delivery of these vaccines per the communique that we have had or the response, the suspension that has come from the Minister of Health. And I can also say that nothing has been done in terms of payment yet. But again, the due diligence, or talking about due diligence, excellent. Look at point number 4 of the response of the Minister of Health. It says, Minister of Health has since early this year made several efforts to procure the Sputnik V vaccine directly by engaging Russian authorities such as Russian Prime Minister, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the CEO of Russian Direct Investment Fund, and the CEO of limited liability company Human Vaccine. Meetings were also held with Deputy Ambassador of Russia in Ghana. Minister of Health also engaged individuals, that's point number 5, Ghanaians and companies for the supply of various types of COVID-19 vaccines. Unfortunately, none of these efforts have yielded any results till date. It tells you due diligence actually has been done.
How does it say? I mean, you don't indicate.
Engaging.
You don't indicate. Listen, sorry to cut you, but then it says again, point 6, that against the background of non-response from direct channels and global shortages of the vaccine, the MOH on 9th March responded to an offer from the private office of H.H. Sheikh Dalmouk Maktoum of the UAE for the supply. It does not state here specifically that when you responded to this, you also checked with the Russian government to ensure that he was legitimate.
It's a good question you've asked, but it's simply explained. Let me explain it simply. First of all, checks or a lot of engagements were done with the Russian government. Proved futile. Wait a minute.
Okay.
That proved futile. Now we got an offer coming from someone who says, look, I have access to Sputnik V, and of course I am an agent or I'm a middle person, I sell it. Then the person comes up, fine, if you do have it, come on board.
Did you check to ensure?
Why not? Why not? I don't think by merely placing a call to Minister of Health, who have actually taken the pain to even go through all this to secure this, will say that, look, just for your call, we are not going to do this, we are going to deal with you. Again, remember that this man, the sheikh, is dealing directly with the government of, with the manufacturers of Sputnik V in Russia. And of course, that what is coming, or the consignment that is coming, is supposed to be coming directly from Russia through him to us.
Did we check?
So, obviously, yes. I can say with all certainty that due diligence has been done. The members of parliament who are on the Committee of Health have done a lot of due diligence on some of these things. And I believe that the ministry, by extension, had also done the same. We cannot sit down here and speak to speculation that they didn't do it.
All right.
But I think
but these are not speculations. These are investigations.
Yeah, of course.
Let me bring Doc in, because he says that due diligence was done and they checked.
Of course,
don't you think that should have been stated in this statement, and at least some facts should have been put out to indicate that due diligence was done on the back of the caution
Bella,
of the
we can infer easily. We can infer easily.
It's not about inferences.
We can infer easily.
It's not about inferences. No.
Well,
you see, we are appealing to emotions. And that is okay, because we are dealing with a pandemic, a situation that is a threat to our very existence. And so it is not out of place for the state, through government, to go through strenuous efforts to try and procure the vaccine for our collective protection. But I don't think that is the point of contention. The concerns that have come up is the avenue, the conditions, and the circumstances leading to settling on the source of procuring the vaccine. This is the issue. Now, you played the voice of the WHO.
The assistant,
and she made some very important and acceptable comments. And I believe that that is in good faith. Because we all know the issue of middlemen, even within our local context. How between the source and the destination, changes can occur at the middle level. I mean, just a classical example. Don't we know that people go and procure palm oil from the source, and before it gets to the market, it is diluted? So when the WHO is cautioning us about being critical and to do due diligence on the middlemen, she has said it for obvious reasons. There are instances where there are fake products, imitated products on the market. And so if you don't do the due diligence, and I think Kamal, perhaps his definition of due diligence is different from ours. Because I see due diligence as checking to make sure that indeed this entity is an entity that has the legal capacity to engage in this role as a middleman, so to speak. And that entity actually has a record of being capable of delivering such a service. And that entity can also be trusted to do the right thing. And I think that is what due diligence is meant to do, not whether the ministry has spent several hours with the Russian ambassador to Ghana or no, that is not due diligence. That is not. The due diligence component has to do with the entity that we are procuring these vaccines from, the relationship between that middle entity and the source, and whether or not we can be assured that the product that is going to come to us through that middle entity is wholesome, meets the standards, and indeed that entity has the legal backing to be able to engage in this practice. And you see, when Kamal speaks about MPs and Parliament, it is not true. In fact, outside in Parliament, we have not come out to confirm participation in this discussion.
Did this come to Parliament, however?
If you have heard,
hold on, Kamal, I just want to find out from
our side of it. In fact, we have raised concerns, and we are even asking for, we are asking for a bipartisan probe into this matter. That is what our side has said. So the chair of the committee actually came out in response to what our ranking member had said. Because we had disagreements with what was being done, the way it was being done, and from the commentary that was given by our ranking member, Kandor. In fact, this came as a surprise to us. We also had it just like the rest of you did.
So you did not know the processes that went into procuring?
Yes, we don't. We've been left in the dark. And you see, that is also the aspect that raises a lot of eyebrows. I totally disagree. If there is, unanimity, there is an acceptability that this is a situation that is dire, why wouldn't us be made part of the discussion? How come our side was left in the dark until the story broke?
Did your team attempt to find out how these vaccines were being procured? Because, I mean, there were various communications. This communication about government procuring 3.4 million, Sputnik V vaccines came on the 6th of April. Did the minority attempt to find out what the processes were?
Will they tell us?
But did you attempt to?
Well, I'm not the ranking member, but I know he would have done his due diligence in terms of trying to find out the information. But I can tell you the truth, that if we were made part of that conversation, perhaps the current state of the public debate won't be so. But you see, the other component of all of this is also the personalities involved in the arrangement. I think you alluded to that earlier, that this sheikh and his dealings have been sources of concern, not just within the context of this particular vaccine.
Yeah.
But if you are somebody who has followed the public discourse, you would know that this is not the first time his name is coming up in something that is rather controversial. And I studied in Norway, the University of Bergen.
Okay.
And for Norwegians to be trying to look for somebody for, having engaged in acts deemed to be criminal.
Allegedly, yeah.
It is no small matter, because the Norwegian system is one of the most liberal systems in the world. And so for the Norwegian authorities to have singled him out as somebody to pursue because he has engaged in, quote unquote, unwholesome conduct before, in itself should give us a worry. So the worry that we are raising, the concerns we are raising, is not just about the price itself, but it is the whole gamut of what transpired and the circumstances under which this sheikh was identified to supply. But you see, something caught my attention, that it was the sheikh who made the offer. He made the offer. He apparently made us as a nation aware that he had the capacity to undertake this. Doesn't that also come to you as a bit weird and some personal interest at play?
Your point exactly.
Well, on what basis did he make the offer to support us? Is it that we advertise in the... No, I'm waiting. Is it that we advertise our need for a vaccine? Did we communicate to other entities or to the world that we're having challenges? And if that is so, which are the entities that we communicated that to? How did we publicize it? How did he become aware? Or was it an inside job because he has associates in the government? That is the question I am raising.
Okay, Kamal, I'll need you to respond to this and the fact that at the beginning, when these vaccines were, confirmed to be able to fight COVID-19 and all of that, I mean, they were available, were they not? But we opted to go for that deal with COVAX, where we're going to get it for free. Yeah. I mean, why didn't we procure it at that point when they were easily and readily available, and we had to wait till now that they are not exactly on the market, and that's when we want to buy it?
Lot of factors. When COVAX actually was put in place, it was put in place in a form of aid to most, middle-income countries or lower-income countries, as it were. Ghana falls within that range. We thought it wise as a government to say that instead of spending money, we have an entity that is going to give it to us for free. Is that not right? I don't think any prudent government will depart from that. You rather go for it. That answers your question first.
But that wouldn't have achieved the 20 million number of people that we're hoping to vaccinate.
Nonetheless, even if you have vaccinated 2 or 3 and saved lives of 3 people, you would have.
It doesn't make any difference because we're told that herd immunity is what is going to control the spread of the COVID-19 virus.
Again, nonetheless, let's come to the second phase of your question.
No, respond to that first.
I'm responding. Okay.
I've
just responded. I'm saying that it was prudent for us to say that, look, we get something from COVAX coming for free. The next moment, shortage hits. Every country was running for it because the efficacy of it has actually been established. Do we have some money left or there to rush for it? And do we have a law that mandates us to do it? Then we went into it. You see, that is the second phase of it. So, yes, we've gone for COVAX. At the same time, again, there is a situation that calls for us to come out there as a country to purchase some. Now, we came out, shortage hit everywhere. Whatever efforts we have to make, like he said, make a lot of strenuous efforts to ensure that we get some of these vaccines. True that we have done. You see, I am taken aback when Honorable Apak sits here. Member of Parliament, I am not a member of Parliament, okay? A committee in Parliament, Health Committee, they have a ranking member in there, or the deputy ranking member, as it were. A ranking member in there. They have other members on that particular committee. Then the chairperson of the committee, who I believe will not just come out to speak, but he will speak actually coming from meetings that they've held in Parliament. Then you say, no, you are not aware of anything.
No, you are getting it wrong.
What I'm saying is that you cannot speak for him, yes, but then they spoke first before the chairman
and the chairman came to respond to what we said. Because we had accused government of engaging in a practice that we didn't feel were comfortable with.
Okay.
And then you responded. So it wasn't the other way around. It's important to establish.
You spoke after this tabloid, international tabloid in Norway, released their story.
Okay.
Okay, then you spoke. Then the chairperson of the committee comes out to clarify what he knows about the procurement processes and what they know about it. Then you tell me that, look, but for the tabloid coming out and then you minority speaking, you would not have had response coming from the, if you like, the majority. And therefore, what the majority is saying, you are still not satisfied. My point I want to make
You don't know the way Parliament works.
My point I want to make is that it's so simple. members of the committee are there to tell us whether meetings have been held on this matter decision or not. It's a running story or it's a developing story. Obviously, a lot will come out. But you see, Bella, let us not do cheap politics with this matter. I'm repeating myself again.
How are we
with
doing
this
cheap
matter.
politics with this?
I am telling you this.
How?
We are doing cheap politics with it because, obviously, the truth and the facts of the matter are known to most of us, especially the members of parliament who are on that committee, to the extent that their chairperson will come out to speak to this matter. But of course, if we are privy to some of these things and refuse to say that, look, we are privy to it, and therefore we're going to speak to the matter factually, then of course we are doing cheap politics because we are refusing to actually serve the Ghanaian populace with the truth.
Where's the health
but
minister?
The point
because
I want to make,
with this investigative piece that was put out, there's even a photo of the health minister with the sheikh and his team receiving that 16,000 doses of the Russian Sputnik V. It was unloaded at that time when the deal was being discussed and was about to go through. And so he was very much involved in the process from the beginning based on this investigative piece.
Yes.
Where is he in all of this matter? Why are we not hearing from him?
I think we just this morning, you and I just read from a response coming from the Minister of Health. Is that not correct? You and I just read something coming from the Minister of Health. So we can say that he's quiet on the matter. And I am told that, of course, either he's supposed to go to Parliament or has been to Parliament. I don't know whether he's yet to go to Parliament.
He's yet to come and respond.
Very well. I'm told that he will go to Parliament again to clarify further for us to move on. You see, my point is simple. We're trying to speculate, to create some confusion in the air that something has gone wrong. Yes, no one is saying we shouldn't investigate. No one is saying we should not develop the story to get to the bottom of the matter. We should. But hasty conclusions will not help us.
But that's why we're asking you to explain.
That is why we're in the process.
In explaining, I have a question. So yesterday, Dr. Friye also mentioned, the chairman of the Health Committee in Parliament.
Yes.
He said that there were other companies as well that were even offering other prices. Some as low as what, $12 or $13 or so. And, you know, there are about 7 of them that we're still dealing with in the first place. Why did we go with the $19 vaccine?
When I use the word inference, I don't know, you did not disagree with me, but of course, Honorable Apak disagreed with me that we do not infer in this matter. You spoke about due diligence earlier on. Now, you're telling me that the committee chairperson says that there were even other companies that had come in. And it's not out of place for countries to deal with middlemen anyway. You understand? The Russian Direct Investment Fund has an arrangement there. Now, yes, we have actually manufactured this, but we need to sell it, or we're going to sell it through government to government and also through middlemen. Establish whether Sheikh actually indeed is a properly registered middleman with the Russian Direct Fund. That we are going to establish. But I believe, obviously, the due diligence we're talking about, all these companies that came with $12, some $7 and whatever, the WHO woman just said something, that we should be careful about it.
But
There could be some, maybe, in the wisdom of the committee, in the wisdom of the ministry, that look, yes, you have offered $7, but my checks or our checks indicates that this is not proper for us. It could be so.
So does it mean that with these other companies that are offering the lower deals, we're not engaging them anymore? Because we're getting an indication that
I am not
they would also
emphatically saying that they were shoddy. But what I'm saying is that the due diligence question that you raised was important. And I believe that is why I inferred that if a ministry had a whole process to go through with Parliament and with procurement processes, I believe due diligence was actually carried out. To the extent that it's not even one company, 2 companies or 3 companies, other companies were there, but they settled on Sheikh's, if you like, deal, then move on. I believe that a lot of checks were done before they settled on it, as it were.
There's a part of the statement I'm trying to find, so we'll respond to this particular issue. Doc, please give us a minute. Let's quickly read messages from our viewers, and then we'll come to that.
Okay. First one says, good morning, TV3. Remind the MPP man that we, the NAPCO trainees, have still not been paid our 2 months allowances. Eric from Ho sent in that one. A. Farouk from Tamale North says, good morning to you all. The Nanado MPP government has made the living standard of the ordinary Ghanaian very difficult these days. The hardships upon us Ghanaians is unbelievable and disgusting. It's sad that as a Ghanaian, everything we do in this country comes along with corrupt practices. The corruption in Ghana has now become the air and the food that we eat on a daily basis. We, the health workers, Bono East Region, who contracted COVID-19 in the line of duty have not received our compensation from government. Hashtag Atebubu. Kwame Danso is the cardinal sin of this government. And that came from Senate West District. Why does the NPP always defend the indefensible? There is always a procurement problem when the MPP purchases commodities. Kweku from La Paz sent in that one. Last one says, good morning. Indeed, Mr. Kamaldeen has made a great submission regarding the procurement of the vaccines by the state. And that came from Abdul Mumin Wunam from Tamale. Bella, I'm done with the messages.
All right. Well, Doc, you can come in now and respond to...
I think it is important that I explain a few things.
On how Parliament works.
There is the minority and then there's the majority. Of course, there are some committees that the majority chairs, and there are some that the minority chairs, but a few. But just because one is the chair of a committee does not mean that when one comes out to make a statement or say something, it's representation of the committee. No, it is not like that.
I didn't say so.
Unless, of course, a matter comes and it is put to vote, and the committee as a whole then decides. But on this particular matter, it is not as though there was some specific meeting arrangement to discuss this and agree. And that is why the committee chair and the ranking member are at variance. There is no unanimity. So when you keep saying the committee has agreed, the committee has not. That which is being put in the public domain by the chair of the committee is the opinion of the majority side on the committee. And that which is being rebutted by the ranking member is the position of the minority side. So there is no documentation to show that the processes that the chair has narrated was actually something that was presented to the committee as a whole, and they sat down and looked through and agreed. That is, yes, but because if that were the case, we then would not have any cause to come out publicly to call for a bipartisan probe into a matter that we were a part of, or a process that we were part of from the onset. So it's very, very important to establish that. But you see, Kamal keeps mentioning the fact that, oh, no dime has been paid, no money has changed hands. But the intent is quite obvious. And where this has reached, I doubt whether there is going to be a turning back.
Oh, come on.
I mean,
no.
I mean,
These are
you have gone
speculations.
through.
Now you're not
you have gone
speculating.
through. This is not speculating.
But they indicate, to be fair,
now.
that they can easily pull out of the deal if it does not meet the conditions.
You even spoke about the minister, his interactions with the sheikh. Apparently, something has already moved.
Oh, really? You want to rely on some of these?
But if that has moved, was it free, for example? But in any case, Bella, you see,
I'm surprised.
you made a very important point earlier, and I think that Kamal sought to downplay it, which is why we did not make arrangements, even as we took advantage of the COVAX facility, to ensure that we were able to augment, knowing our population and what we would have required. I think that is a very important matter. We should have been able to make alternative arrangements in lieu of the fact that there are uncertainties. I mean, why do we put our eggs in one basket? And now that basket has fallen and we are going to middlemen to help us procure. When we could have done this ahead of time. If we wanted 20,
hold on, Kamal.
if we wanted to deal with 20 million people, we could have arranged that.
But at that time, how are we going to get vaccines for 20 million people immediately?
No, what I'm saying is that it wasn't only one source, as we know. It wasn't only one source. It wasn't only one vaccine. He has explained, and I agree, that the only reason why we went with the COVAX was because, obviously, it was part of a facility that we're all supposed to benefit as a middle and low-income countries. There is nothing wrong with that. But in spite of that, we could have looked at alternative ways of finding the vaccine to cater for our needs. And I think he tried to bypass that if you like, attention that you were trying to bring to this particular issue. So it's clearly a lack of planning.
Bella.
We
Could
didn't
it be
have to
that
wait
we
to
didn't
get
have
to
the
this
funds
stage.
as well to acquire
Yes,
the
we
vaccine?
didn't have them. Say it.
That's the question.
So you didn't have the funds?
Say it.
No, listen, this pandemic came to every country in this world, okay, as a surprise, that we all know. Budgets had been done. In the case of Ghana, for instance, we had even done our budget. And of course, we had not even budgeted for something like that at all. But when we were hit, that is why even our deficit had to even, if you like, surpass wherever the law had marked it. When it happened, obviously, you would have to think out of the box to ensure that at least something is done. To the extent that we needed even to go out to borrow some $1 billion, if you remember. You understand?
We still have not been given the breakdown.
Very
of
well.
that
No, it doesn't matter. But
You
of
haven't
course,
accounted.
It matters.
he said we
We
didn't
need to know
plan.
what
He
to
said
use
we
the
didn't
money
plan.
for.
I say, I am
We need to
responding
know.
to him.
Accountability is
Because
very important.
if
about
we-
It doesn't
if
matter.
we-
We will do it. I'm
If
I'm
we use it
saying, I'm
judiciously
saying.
such that
No,
we could
let's
have
not
saved
change. Let's
some
not change the discourse.
part of the money to acquire the vaccines. Because now what? The regular Ghanaian is paying for these
He's
vaccines.
alleging.
Indirectly.
APAC is alleging that we hadn't planned, we hadn't actually worked out to ensure that we. The same person says that we've made strenuous efforts to ensure that we get certain vaccines.
That
in place.
is
This is a person who says we are not planning.
that
The
is
same
based-
person says
that
we've
is
made certain
based on the
efforts.
most recent
Now,
developments.
even on the back of we planning and making sure that we get to where we are and discussing this story today, you are questioning even what we have actually planned and properly tried to execute, which we are on the course of executing. Then you are questioning that one, and yet you come to sit here and say we never planned. But that's it. You see, that's what I'm saying. That we can introduce cheap politics in whatever we do.
Come on,
Let's
this is
go
not
on to
This
gain.
is not. This
We
is an
have a right to
investigative
ask
team that has
questions.
been
I
put
want to
out.
make is that
we are finding answers to these
managers
concerns.
of COVID, managers of the economy, okay, vis-a-vis COVID, okay, have actually done a great job, which we all know. Clearly, since that pandemic hit or struck, running from that time till date, not only Ghana or not only in Ghana, even internationally, we have actually been acclaimed for doing better in managing the COVID. So when you sit here and say we didn't plan, but I find that quite, I mean,
But
a
regardless,
surprise.
in
But of
procuring
course,
vaccines, even Dr. Kwame
And in
Saponasiedu
procuring
had
vaccines,
mentioned
yes,
earlier,
yes.
as early as April or so
Yes.
last year, that when it comes to procuring vaccines, if we should get there, we should avoid middlemen as much as possible. And we
No.
should also ensure that we're doing the right thing.
You see,
So that we don't find ourselves in a situation like
I am
this.
so much guided by the advice given by experts and by the advice given by WHO elsewhere. But again, we have made efforts per their own response and per the government's response. Efforts were made, went throughout. To the extent that there has been a middleman, what we need to establish an umbrella, both the media and ourselves, and everybody who is speaking to this matter, establish whether or not, indeed, the Sheikh is a certified middleman for, if you like, Russian direct investment fund through, for their vaccines that they have actually, manufactured or not. If we establish that, it means that no wrong has been committed. You have no option. Your direct government to government, you couldn't get it, and you've gotten a middleman. What is wrong with getting a middleman who will give you what actually we need? The worry would be if the conditions for the supply are not met, and yet we still go ahead and pick what is fake or what is not good for this country. That is where the worry will be. But where we are now, we have been very careful. We have looked at it, laid down conditions during negotiations, and ensure that if you are able to meet those conditions, then of course you are going to be paid for whatever. Now you refer me to a story where you say there's a picture and then some 16,000 doses or some.
It's part of the investigation.
Does it say that yes, some money has been paid for some 16,000 doses?
There's a statement that we have been able to retrieve.
Does it say? Yes.
And I'm going to just pull it up quickly. We read it earlier, but we might as well just
That's fine.
bring it back so we get the details on that. I believe it should be here. Johnny, is it on your page? Okay, let me just quickly find Johnny's page. Or if the producers could quickly pull it up for me whilst we continue this conversation. We have very limited time. Please kindly pull it up for me so we can project it. But
And
then
what
there's
does it say?
indication. It's a letter from the Ministry of Health to the Finance Ministry asking for some monies to be made available to procure vaccines.
Yes.
It doesn't state specifically, however,
Absolutely.
if it is Sputnik. But then, regardless, some monies are being asked to be paid. And where is it? Is it? Oh, I'm hoping we could pull it up. Still not getting it.
Let's get
Okay,
the content
hold on.
of it and you understand. Let's get the content of that statement.
AJ, on your page? Okay. Okay, there it is. All right.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, this is it.
Very well.
Okay.
And what does the content say?
Now, it says here, and this was in April 2021,
Very well.
please refer to the Ministry of Health letter, details given. And it says you are hereby requested to arrange with the Bank of Ghana to establish irrevocable letters of credit to the tune of $13 million to enable the Minister for Health pay for the supply of 1 million doses COVID-19 vaccines, being the first batch of 5 million doses to be procured between March and June 2021. Yes. The amount of $13 million US dollars, being the equivalent of 74 million Ghana cedis and over, which when converted at the exchange rate of 1 cedi to 5.7 Ghana cedis, should be paid on account and will be regularized when the appropriation bill is passed and assented to. By copy of this letter, the Chief Director, MOH, is being informed that any unforeseen charges which may arise because of this transaction will be charged to the Ministry of Health 2021's Goods and Services budget. Respond to this for us.
It's simple. It's self-explanatory. I don't need to respond to this. Simply, you sat here and spoke about government to be proactive. First of all, the Minister of Health doesn't pay directly. It's a finance ministry. You need to initiate a process. Letters of credit doesn't mean also money, even though it's as good as money anyway. It's an instrument. The point is that we are going. That's a letters of credit. It's an instrument. The point I want to make is that you need to plan ahead. You don't go negotiate with the vaccine supplier, then when money is not even made ready. It is a process. You first inform finance minister that we need letters of credit to be able to procure vaccine. In the first place, the arrangement we have with what's the name? The Sheikh. It's for 300,000 doses and not 1 million and not 13 million. What's the name? And not
1 million doses.
And not 1 million. You understand? So it tells you that this does not even go. This is very different from what we are even discussing. We are projecting to procure 1 million. And we are saying that Minister of Finance, help us have an instrument in place so that as and when we are able to secure, then we do our payment.
So this money was not made available at all?
Not at all.
Did this come to the attention of, you know...
Not as far as
because it's an international transaction.
Not as far as I know. But just very quickly, nobody is doing politics with this.
Yes.
We did not commission the Norwegian newspaper to conduct this investigation. But the investigation has been done. We find the content questionable. And it is our right to ask for better and further particulars. And we will do that. And of course, we need to know.
If this same paper was the one that came up with the Norwegian, with the married deal. I remember that even the Sheikh filed a defamation suit against this same Norwegian paper as well. I mean, my point is that they are the ones who have been conducting investigations all through from a married deal till now.
Only God knows what is between they and the Sheikh. So at least issues have come out. We are discussing
Which is why we should have been concerned because in the opposition. No. We should have been concerned about these same people.
I am saying that a few companies came, it was settled on Sheikh. It means some due diligence had been done before we settled on it.
Even the people involved.
We need a full report about which other companies. And we need to understand the basis for choosing a company offering the vaccine for $19 versus $12. We need to know and that is why the bipartisan investigation is important. If you have nothing to fear, there's nothing to hide.
Come to Parliament.
We should have nothing to fear.
The Minister will come to Parliament and sit
You're asking for us to probe.
The Minister will come and sit before you in Parliament.
All right. Well, when is he expected to be in Parliament?
I know he will be in Parliament. I saw
a question has been filed.
Okay.
So
all right. We're looking forward to that. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. I've been speaking to Kamal Dean. He is a member of the MPP Communications team. And also Dr. Clement Apak is the MP for Bulsa South Constituency and also the Deputy Ranking Member of the Education Committee in Parliament. There's more coming up. This is still TV3 Newday. Keep watching.
My younger brother.
How's it going?
You know.
You are silent on Ruth Wood now.
No.